Welcome back to Black Beacon Shrikopaths. Today we're getting back into the guides with Ming, severely underused character, almost completely ignored by most. And like with all the low tier units, what we're going to do in addition to the usual guide is try to figure out why she's so unimpressive. Try to find a place that maybe she wouldn't be so lackluster, and finally, theory craft some changes that, if made, would make her much more usable in the current environment. I'm Shrike, like, comment, and subscribe for more gotcha content. Let's dive in. So Ming is a fire element breaker, or sub DPS, so we're going to build her as such. The game suggests Sage's Heart, like any good off-field damage dealer, and Terracotta General because she actually has a lot of chase damage in her kit. But in addition to those, we can fit a Jade Crane and a Golden Branch, oriented like so. The stats should be pretty much what's suggested here: crit rate, crit damage, but where they want some elemental anomaly mastery, we're instead just going to use fire damage. And attack is a fine fourth target as well. We're basically just going full offensive here. She's likely not going to reach the heights of the sub DPSs that are being released now, like Jicia, but we can at least try to close the gap as much as possible. Let's look at her skill kit. Her basic attack generates points of something that you'll need to make her kit function, but very little of them, and her skill 1 generates them too, and more of them. So let's ignore her basic. The skill 1 gives her half of that charge that she needs, and it also shoots out a thread that connects to an enemy. Hitting skill 1 again will teleport to another enemy and attack them, connecting the other end of the thread. This gives her all the charge she needs in order to activate her skill 2, which surrounds her with spinning blades that move with her, or whomever is on the field for the duration. This is her off-field damage. Her ultimate is just a directional damage blast, nothing special. Her passive says that when damage is dealt to an enemy with a thread attached, the damage is shared with whomever is on the other end of that thread, essentially allowing her to damage 2 units by only attacking 1. Her weapon will of course be necessary. Not only does she need all the help she can get, but it also provides a speed boost to whoever is on field surrounded by those blades. It also gives her a damage boost during that period too, but you're likely not keeping her on field for that. But the speed boost is very useful. Notable talents are 1 and 2. 1 making her spinning blades explode once the duration has elapsed, and 2 extending the duration of those spinning blades. Notable potentials are 2 and 3. 2 boosting the damage resistance of whoever is on the field surrounded by the blades, and 3 reducing the damage resistance of the enemy or enemies struck by said blades. Skill priority now. There's some disagreement. Discord suggests upgrading passive, skill 1, ult, then skill 2. But as you can see here, skill 2 governs the flame damage. That's the spinning blades that serve as her off-field damage. Seems more valuable than her ultimate or skill 1, which only governs the physical damage of each strike of the 2 hits that fill up her skill 2 gauge. So in my opinion, the correct order to skill her up is passive, skill 2, ultimate if you're using Jade Crane, and then skill 1, and then the rest. Let's get into combat now. Her rotation isn't smooth. It's clear, but it's not the smoothest. You S1 to an enemy to start the thread. S1 again at another enemy to connect the thread. Then you S2 activating the spinning blades and swap to your main DPS. This will speed up the DPS, increase their damage resistance, and reduce the damage resistance of the enemies. So, skill 1, skill 1, skill 2. Simple, but janky. It involves targeting 2 different enemies, which, if they're far enough apart, the auto-targeting mechanic won't work properly. And so it becomes sort of a link 1, run over to the second, link that one, and then activate skill 2. Like I said, janky. Most of the time it works fine, unless, like I said, they're far apart, or if there's only 1 enemy in the battle, which, in that case, why did you even bring Ming along? But that, in my opinion, is the best use of her kit. Using the thread link as a means to activate the skill 2 only, and ignoring the damage link effect. It's just a much worse version of an AoE. So I think it's just much better to focus on her spinning blade effect and potential off-field damage capabilities. Swap in, skill 1 to the second enemy, skill 2, swap out. What's unique about her off-field damage is that it moves with you, unlike Viola's, which is a zone that if they move away from, they no longer take that damage. And finally we have teams. She serves the same role and function as Viola, and to a lesser extent Jicia. So pair her with the hard-hitting DPS, perhaps one whose downside is that they're slow, like Florence, since her speed buff will mitigate that. And then I think she'll work with Hefe, creating a mono fire team there, or throw in Zero instead of Hefe in order to get that overload effect you'd be lacking with the mono element. Her buffs and debuffs are the worst part of her kit, besides that almost useless damage link. Only one debuff, damage resistance, and the buffs just pale in comparison to the other units. And then the damage her blades deal off-field aren't very high either. I believe this is why she's not used much. The best use for her would be as I've outlined, as an off-field sub-DPS for a unit that needs speed. If I were to make a few changes to her kit that could make her more viable, it would be to make her blades slow the enemy movement instead of lower the damage resistance, and crank up her speed buff to the moon. Make her the unit to use if you want supersonic battles. You'll trade the typical damaging sub-DPS or heavily debuff-focused sub-DPS, but instead you'll get an outrageous amount of speed. It doesn't make her broken, but does give her a niche use, which I feel she severely lacks at present. Or make the damage link effect work much better, perhaps ignoring a portion of the defense to whoever is linked with the target. That could also be very powerful. And with that being said, I'm gonna fly. I hope I have enough mats to build Yuli after building Ming here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.